Hey everybody, welcome to Comics with Bueller. As always, I'm Bueller. Today we're going to look at 10 key comics that I think you should invest in. A lot of them are first appearances, but some are not, but they're all keys in some way or another. We are focusing on DC books today. It's something I don't do very often, but I do believe that DC should get some love, and we're going to give it to them here on Comics with Bueller. So I did some research on these books. I looked them up on eBay. I looked at the selling price for graded copies, selling price for raw copies, and sold price for those as well. And also the new Overstreet price guide came out, and I've compared those prices also, so I will list all those for you right now. Okay, so let's get started with this first book right here. This is Superman, Man of Steel, number 18. This is the first full appearance of Doomsday. We all know what he did to Superman, and they just put out a new animated movie, Death of Superman, with Doomsday in there. It was actually really good. A CGC copy of this book is going for really cheap. 9.8 is selling for $80. The most recent one, $80. That's nothing for a 9.8 CGC book, especially one with the first appearance of a major character. Raw, this book is selling for anywhere from $10 to $15. That's cheap. Pick this book up. If you can get it for around $10 to $15, you should definitely get it. Don't settle for anything less than a great copy, you know, a near mint copy, because it's not that old of a book, and there's no reason you shouldn't be able to find like a 9.6 or a 9.8, and then if you'd like to get it graded, you can. Let's compare to Overstreet, and like I said, this Overstreet price is from just a couple weeks ago when this book came out. So I have a very fine and a high grade near mint. So they define very fine as an 8.0, and their near mint as 7.2 or above. So a very fine, they have it listed for $7. No problem. A near mint, 9.2, it has it listed at $35. So if that's near mint, 9.2 or above for $35, and you can pick this up right now raw for around 10, 15, maybe $20, you should definitely pick this book up. Okay, that's enough of that. We're going to move on to Suicide Squad, number 1. This came out in 1987. This is the first series. So CGC on this book, a 9.8 sold for $198. Okay, 9.8. I couldn't find anything less than that, but that's a pretty good grade, 9.8. And that's a hard copy to get 9.8. It is a black cover, and of course you're going to see spine ticks on them. So finding a 9.8 might be a little difficult to get your hands on, just because of the black covers. That's usually the case with most of them. But anyway, a 9.8 sold for $198 and actually 88 cents. Raw, you should be able to pick this up for a lot less. Raw copies are going for, on eBay sold, anywhere from $12 to $20 for a near mint condition book. No problem, pick it up. If you get lucky and get a great copy, you can make yourself a nice little profit there. The Overstreet has this at a very fine for $8, and for a near mint at $75. So if you can get this raw for $20, and here it's going for in Overstreet 75 or a CGC 198 at almost $200, great deal. Don't pass it up. We're going to stick with Suicide Squad because people like that. And this is Suicide Squad number 1. This is from 2011. This is the new 52 series. A CGC 9.4 of this one. And I couldn't find any sold copies of 9.4 or above. But a 9.4 CGC sold for $26. That's nothing. That's less than the cost to get a book CGC. So don't settle for anything less than a 9.4 of this book. Listed copies of this for 9.8 on eBay. They're not sold prices, but listed price is $188. And I found a couple at that price range. Raw copies of this book, high grade, $15 to $25. So you should be able to pick this up. And also, this is a newer book, probably the newest book I'm going to be showing, or close to. So there's no reason to get a low grade copy of this book. So Overstreet has this listed at $30 for very fine and $70 for a near mint copy. So I would definitely go for the higher end copy of this. I can't find, like I said, any sold copies, so that's a little disturbing. But you know, I think that the sky's the limit on this book. I think Suicide Squad is popular, even though it might not be as popular outside the comic book community. But I think it does have a lot of potential. Okay, this next book is an older book. This one is Detective Comics number 437. and this is the first appearance of the new Manhunter. This came out in 1973. I found these copies, CGC copies. 9.4 is the highest one I could find at sold price. 9.4 sold for $150, give or take a couple bucks. Raw copies of this, and you can pick this up for really cheap. You can pick up raw copies of this from anywhere from just $5 to maybe a high-end book at around $18 to $20. So it's definitely worth picking up. It is an older book. It came out in 73, so it's going to have some age to it. So getting a nice high-end copy isn't going to be exactly the easiest thing to do. Overstreet has this for a very fine at $34, so not bad, and a near mint copy of $85. So again, the Overstreet is high on this one, and the actual selling price is low, or buying price. So if you can get them at that prices, and if it increases to the value of the Overstreet, which hopefully it does, and actually as we go down this list, that's going to flip-flop, and the Overstreet's going to be less, and the selling price is going to be more. So we'll get to those books. But anyway, first full appearance of new Manhunter. Great book they have. We have Green Lantern, number 141. And this is the first appearance of Omega Men. And this came out in 1981. CGC copies of this. And I got a range, so 8.5, nothing special, about $30, okay? Listed copies, because I couldn't find anything higher than 8.5 for some reason. Listed copies, 9.8, anywhere from $180 to $250. Raw copies of this book, 10 to 25 bucks. High end 25, low end 10, don't go any less than that. You don't want a copy less than that or less value. Overstreet has it very fine at $16 and near mint at $32. I think this book has potential. I think Omega Man, I think there's some value there down the line, and so it's kind of a sleeper book right now. And of course Green Lantern, we all love Green Lantern. So if you can pick this up for around $20 at a good, nice quality book, definitely pick it up. Set those down. Here we go. My notes are coming in very handy. This next book here is called Legends. This is number 3, and this is going back to the Suicide Squad. This is the first Suicide Squad appearance. Came out in 1987. CGC's copies of this, 9.8, under $100, $90. The most recent one sold. Raw copies, you can pick this up anywhere from $5 to $15. And Overstreet has it for a very fine of $16 all the way up to a $30 for a near mint. So the Overstreet's about twice as much as what they're actually selling for. So pick them up in the raw, don't pay more than $15. Heck, get a CGC 9.8 for $90, pick that up as well. Like I said, it's the first appearance of Suicide Squad or that version of the team. Alright. This next one, this is one of the newer books. This is Batman New 52. This is number 1. This came out in 2011. This is the first print. So a CGC book, sold 9.8, sold for $170. It's a nice little chunk of change. Raw copies of this, you can get for around $30 to $40. High end, obviously $40. Overstreet has a value of this very fine of $31. To a near mint, which is 9.2 or higher, that's $75. So they're very fine prices, very similar with the raw price going on, but the near mint is kind of higher. But really, you should be able to pick this up for, I'm thinking, like I said, around the raw things, around $40. Try to get a nice looking copy. It does have a darker cover, so you are going to run the risk of having the spine ticks. But really, you shouldn't settle for anything less with this one as well. So a great book to have also. And then here we go. This one's going to be a little bit more pricey. We're getting into some more pricey books. This is DC Comics Presents number 26. This came out in 1980. This is the first new Teen Titans, Starfire, Raven, Cyborg, all those characters. So this one, a 9.8, is sold, or has sold, for $800. A 9.6, just 2.2 points less, sold for $300, so a $500 difference. You know, so if condition's not that big a deal for you, and a 9.6, and really I have a hard time telling a difference, then a $500 price gap, I'd probably go for the 9.6 one. Raw copies of this are ranging anywhere from $50 to a near mint of $183. Overstreet's pretty much right on the money on this book. They have a very fine at $58, only a couple dollars more, and a near mint at $170. So that's within $13 of what they're actually selling for. So you should not pay anything more than what Overstreet states this price to be, because they are right on the money on this book. Alright, this next book is one of my favorites. This is the first printing of Batman the Killing Joke. Came out in 1989. This is the green label. That's how you tell what the printings are. They'll have different color labels, pink, whatever, you know. 9.8 copies of this book, and this is a square bound book. So if these books haven't been opened, then there's a good chance that it's a really high grade book. But a 9.8 is selling for $230, or I'm sorry, sold for $230. I did find another 9.8 that sold for $175. So there's about a $50 gap in there. Raw copies of this book, very fine, selling for about $50. Near mint for about $81. And then for the Overstreet, pretty close, very fine, $30. There's a $20 difference. But near mint, $70, so it's only about $11 difference. I would stick with Overstreet pricing on this one, depending on the quality of the book. Go by what Overstreet says. It hasn't seen any type of jump, but they did put out that animated series, The Killing Joke, and it's just a great storyline. So if you can pick it up, especially even if you don't mind paying like a couple $100 for a 9.8 graded copy, I think it's a good option. Let's set these down. We're on to our last book, and this is the most spendy book that we are going to show. And this is actually one of my favorite books. My favorite books, Batman. This is Batman The Dark Knight Returns. This is #1. This is first print. This is Frank Miller. This is something that changed Batman forever. A 9.8 copy of this book has been selling for anywhere from $800 to $1,000. Awesome book. Awesome book. 9.6 sold for about $260, but 9.8s are anywhere from $800 to $1,000. This is also a square bound book. There is a great chance, if you can find this in the raw, that you will get a nice high grade copy if it hasn't been opened. Because as soon as it's open, it has a little crease in the spine that will bend and you'll notice it. But if it hasn't been opened, then it won't have that crease. Raw copies of this book you can pick up for around $100 to $140. So if you get one of those for $100 and $140, and you get a CGC copy or graded and it comes back at 9.8, you're looking at a $1,000 book. That's a pretty good return on your investment. And then Overstreet has it very fine, listed at $44, and then a near mint copy of $120, which is pretty close to what the raw copies are going for. This book is fantastic. I can't say enough about this book. This one is not graded. This one has not been opened, and this one is actually selling for $130. I'm pretty sure that this one could possibly pull a grade of a 9.8, and so I'm adding this to my collection here today after I get done shooting this video. So anyway, those are 10 DC books. This is my version of a speculation video. Hopefully you guys liked it. We're going to be doing more in the future. If you like what you saw, we'll have another one for Spider-Man books and another one for Marvel books, so check those two videos out. Feel free to subscribe if you're not already. Leave some comments down below. Let me know what you thought about my prices that I looked up for you. And make sure you hit that like button as well. Alright guys, thanks for watching Comics with Bueller. We'll see you next time.